have one of those little things to start. Hi, everyone. My name is Krista of Practical Astros, and it is the month of July. I'm here with my astro mirrored twin who had a dream about us talking about oppositions last night, which is funny because our suns are opposite each other. Mandi Rae of Ecstatic Astrology. Hi, Mandi. How are you doing?
Hello. Good. I think.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about July, which has a lot of drama, to say the least. A lot of activity, a lot of big Renaissance era vibes to it, as well as some fireworks and explosions. And we were just kind of talking about the full moon at the end of the month, how crazy that one is. I'm going to share my calendar so we can look at that real quick, but then we'll use yours to go through. Mine
Yours
is
is
kind
so
of like
elegant.
it's like a wall calendar, just like as if I've written all the transits out for you. I put Mars square the North Node here. We also have what was it that was happening on Mercury goes retrograde before the month starts too, just before. So we have that kind of leading up to the month, but all of this is happening. What before we start, before we look at your emoji language for your calendar, what are the standout days for you for the month of July?
Full moon in Aquarius. And Mars Uranus. I think the fact that they bookend
Hmm.
the month, it makes every transit feel huge,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the beginning and end of the month is what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the outers kind of locking into that 4-degree place and then Jupiter coming in and, you know, completing that connection, which we'll talk about when we get to the third and fourth week of July. But that the basket configuration that a lot of astrologers are talking about, we'll kind of get into that. But the connection of Pluto to Uranus to Neptune and then Jupiter around that third, fourth week of July is the one that I'm most curious about. It's not happening on one single day. It kind of is like locking into place at different tiers. But those are the dates that I'm looking at. I'll stop share so that you can share yours and we can dive into the first chart of the month.
All right. So my emojis. And I was telling before we started, I was telling Krista that it almost feels like too serious of a of a month to have emojis be the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's just it doesn't quite do it justice because it is so big. Um, and we've been looking at this month for a long, long time. I feel like just at me and you, but
You've looked at this era for years. Like
mhm.
basically since you studied astrology, this
Yeah,
time, like the time is now.
I know it's
Here
weird to
we
be
are.
here. And when I did my first astrology class, when I gave one, was 2019. And I remember trying to describe what 2020 was going to be like. And it was almost like I couldn't quite get it across to people what 2020 was going to be. And I feel the same way about this time period. Like if I were to have described it 5 years ago to anybody, it just wouldn't have been fathomable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are so many things that we haven't experienced as humans, like Neptune and Aries. No one alive has experienced that. Um, Even Uranus and Gemini, there are not very many people
Hmm.
who have, because that's an 84-year orbit. So there are things that I don't think that even you can quite grasp enough to describe,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about. So like you said, the time is now, here we are. And like that emoji, that's how I feel. The little on the
Mm-hmm.
fourth, like I can't
Well,
believe
just
it.
looking at all of them in sequence, like if these were like notes that you would play on a piano, like they would just be all over the place. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Mars trine Pluto, Sun square Saturn, Neptune retrograde, Venus goes into Virgo, then the Cazimi, Mercury Cazimi, and Venus square Uranus, and then the new moon in Cancer, and then Uranus trine Pluto, and then Jupiter. opposite Pluto, and then the sun goes into Leo, Mercury goes direct, and Saturn goes retrograde, and the sun opposite Pluto, and then the full moon in Aquarius is like all this stuff. It's like so many things, big things happening in full. I mean, and most of this is happening in Cancer season, not even Leo season. Like Leo season, by comparison, I feel like will seem less dramatic, except for that full moon. That full moon is going to be big, which we'll get to because Jupiter will be with the sun, the moon will be with Pluto. I mean, that those are pretty big transits. But the drama is happening in Cancer season while Mercury is retrograde. So it's like how are we learning from this, reflecting on it? How are we able to slow down to be able to perceive all of these massive transits? Like, I feel like this month will be emotionally felt more
Mm,
so than intellectualized or expressed. It's like we will just be absorbing the blows, the information, the change, the challenges, the pivoting. You know, Cancer is a tropical sign, so it learns how to pivot and change direction. And I think that we will be tested in that way
mm,
emotionally, especially during this month. I'm
mhm,
honestly excited about it, you know. And I don't want it to be like fear monger for sale, you know. I don't want it to be that because there's some big things happening, especially Mars with Uranus.
mhm.
But it's when I think about like the larger implications of the opportunities of really systematically changing the ways that we operate as societies and communities and individually within our families, I think that that also exists in the month of July. And so for that reason, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's the change. I mean, some you look at life sometimes and you go, something has to change, something has to give, and this is the month that I think that happens. So if people are looking for something to change in their lives, this month will be at least the it may not be when the change occurs, but it definitely is going to be the catalyst or the seed for it, you know. So
Yeah,
I
I think we all probably already know
yeah,
what we want to change.
yes,
July just
exactly.
makes it a little bit louder in our heads.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And yeah, you said something about fear mongering, and I just, someone I saw on Twitter said, "This Mercury retrograde in Cancer, don't be near water." I was just like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah.
And to read that as an astrologer, and my
Mm.
daughter's going on a cruise, like you can't do that. So I would just
Yeah,
I
and what
wanted to
kind of
start off
advice
with
is
that.
that? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
you have to take a shower, like
yeah,
what?
you got to drink, you know. And to me, it's like remediation of connecting with the element that is being slowed down. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I mean, like maybe traveling on jet skis across water, you know, if you have an afflicted Mercury in your own chart, yeah, maybe that would be harmful to you. But just across the board, these carte blanche, forecast for an entire element that our bodies, like we're what, 70+% water, like it's just dumb.
Yeah,
That's
that's
when
like
astrology is
uh,
really dumb.
yeah, I know. And Mars conjunct Uranus and Gemini. That's like saying don't be in the air. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Stop
it's
breathing for that day. Yeah.
And I did want to say that just because we sort of start out the month
Mm-hmm.
just before we started with the Mercury retrograde in Cancer. And I mean, we could actually, that might be worth taking a look
Yeah.
at
Mm-hmm.
because here we are, we're recording this June 25th, 10:55. Or actually, it's 11:04 now. But the Mercury retrograde starts at 12:35 p.m. Central, June 29th, which is a Monday.
And a full
Uh,
moon.
and a full moon, and Mars will be in Gemini as well. That's another important kind of way we start the month is Mars is in Gemini
Mm-hmm.
as Mercury goes retrograde. And that is important because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So this is again a time when things it's like about face, like we are flipping the script in a
Mm-hmm.
huge way. But I think you're right about it being emotionally felt, especially with Mercury retrograde,
Yeah.
because of it's also like the full moon there to end June, and then we go straight into it's almost July 1st. It's still almost full moon territory. It's moon opposite Mars as we start the month. I mean,
Hmm.
opposite Mercury. So it is something that and Jupiter in Leo, like it's the end of June, beginning of July is so just different. It is extremely, and I think looking back at June, knowing that Chiron has moved into Taurus, that's different. Jupiter's moving
Hmm.
into Leo, that's different. Mars moving into Gemini, different. The nodes are at the very end of Virgo Pisces, and they're going to move, at least the true node, like we were saying, there's true and mean node. It is something that I think it is very, very important to know your chart for, to
Hmm.
know
Yeah.
what houses are what. Like I'm a Cancer rising. Mercury is going to go retrograde in my first house of self, body, appearance. How I
Don't go near water.
don't go near water. Don't wash your face,
Yeah.
like that kind of a thing. But it is very important for me to know that about my own chart. And then that Mars is in my 12th house of, um, you know, delusion. I feel
Self-undoing.
delusional.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like prior to recording, you were sharing some stuff of like this things that are kind of out of your control and wanting to like put up boundaries so that that out of controlness stays away from you. That's Mars in the 12th for me.
Hmm.
It's like when you have a malefic, especially Mars in that 12th house of unseen enemies, it's kind of
Hmm.
like, whatever protections you can do for Cancer risings when Mars goes into Gemini just so that you're psychically protected, even if it's just praying to a grandparent that's passed, be like, hey, can you just watch my back in the astral realm? Can you just
Hmm.
like help me out? Because like, things in the 12th house, especially Mars conjoining Uranus there, it's like, I'm not going to see that coming. And I need protection from an ancestor. I need protection from, some sort of guiding spirit. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, like knowing where Cancer house is for you and knowing where the Gemini house is for you for the beginning of this month will help kind of, you're not going to be anchored this month. I think that the best thing is to like kind of know where everything is so that when things shift, you'll be able to go the new direction. Holding on too tightly with ideas that you might have at the beginning of the month. I think things will be radically changing throughout the month, and it's like to hold on too tightly to me kind of determines that it's just harder. Your experience of the astrology may be harder.
Yeah.
It's like to be a little nimble and be able to pivot is going to be in your favor for July.
Yeah. And I mean, just to set the stage, like you said, Saturn being in Aries and Neptune, that means Mars is the ruler of that. So there, you're right. There is no real, things feel shifty. And I
Yeah.
mean, here we go. We just had the two earthquakes we had on the 24th, the ground is moving beneath us, literally. So it's just going to be very important. I mean, Gemini risings, Virgo risings, Sag risings, Pisces risings, pay close attention to the beginning of July. And then also the cardinal and the fixed. Everyone's on deck. Everyone's on deck this month. So
I feel
um
like the fixed have it a little easier
they do.
just
I think
because
so.
the nodes will be moving in and then we have Chiron and a fixed, but like the fixed will be like the stable friend that's like the designated driver for the month is the fixed signs
There you
are
go.
the fixed signs. Yeah.
I would agree. So our first real transit is Mars conjunct Uranus. So um, let's go ahead and talk about it because this is going to be a big one. um, I
We
think,
had like a live recording of us like when was it when they were square or trine? Like, oh, let's just like
oh yeah,
unknowingly, I was like, when did they conjoin? This was months ago. And like we both basically fell out of the chair when we saw
cackled.
this.
It was like what like that uncomfortable
Nervous laughter.
laughter.
Yeah. This is
uh,
fine. This is fine.
on July 4th. Yeah. So, and speaking to that, don't be near water thing, um, which seems so ridiculous. But I do say, and I have said, be aware if you're in a crowd for this date.
And probably the night before, because this
And
is
yeah,
early in the morning. So Friday
mm-hmm,
night, July 3rd, as Mars approaches Uranus, I think will
mm-hmm,
be the more volatile moments.
yeah. And I mean, it, Gemini is the brain, you know, the way people are dealing with reality right now, we're talking stuff that humanity's never touched before. AI. We're talking the White House is talking about UFOs. Okay. It's like there there is no precedent for the current reality. And so I do feel like people processing this in their brains, in their bodies as well, kind of that's what this Mars Uranus speaks to and how people deal with it. And like when I wonder how people dealt with um telephones, when they came out and what that did to people's brains. And that's what I think more than anything else, that is what's volatile, I think, with this Mars Uranus conjunction is the way people are dealing with the realities that are brand new for humans. So that's the other reason I think the crowd thing comes into play because you're if you're in a crowd around this date, you're dealing with people who have no tether. I mean, and just like what we were talking about, the ground is shifting underneath us. There is no tether. Things out of your control. The only thing you can control is how you deal with it. So, the Mars is action at its best, passion at its best. At its worst, it is anger and violence, and the cutting knife. And you put that together with Uranus, which is unexpected events, revolution, at its best, freedom, but you put those two things together, and then you take that and you look at the trine to Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is large groups of people. So it is something that I think is worth at least being aware of. If you are in a crowd of people, um, have your awareness turned on. If there's bad weather, have your weather radio out. Just anything you can do to stay informed with this Gemini stuff and Mercury retrograde. Like there are so many pieces to this puzzle. It's almost impossible to the amalgamation of it to understand the whole of it because there are so many little pieces. Neptune is at 4 degrees. This minor grand trine, I guess, is what they call it. It's so much, and it's likely some information will come out. It's also likely we may not know what's going on because of Mercury retrograde and because of the involvement of Neptune.
Yeah, I wondered that because so with the 3 degrees and 52 minutes conjunction point between Uranus and Mars, it's within a half a degree of being exactly in Tisha to Mercury. And so is the Mercury station point going to, when Mercury stations on the 29th of June, going to give us some sort of clue that when like Jupiter will be in Tisha with Mars. So antishas are it's like a secret connection or a secret conjunction. They kind of share the same quality of light on their respective days. If you looked at the degree on the calendar of 0 degree Gemini to 29 degree um, Cancer. And so at the moment of the Mars Uranus conjunction, Mercury will be Antisha to that moment. So it's like a Mercury retrograde looking back and understanding and sharing or having this kind of secret connection with that Mercury with that Mars Uranus conjunction. I just wonder if we'll get a clue that maybe we only find in retrospect, like you said, might find out what that was after the fact.
Mm,
Because the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, that Mercury is retrograde, but it's Antistia. So it's like it is kind of aware in like this kind of secret channel. I just wonder if kind of the secret ways of communicating will be related to that Mars Uranus.
yes.
And this is in the United States, this is the seventh house. So maybe this has to do with our, relations, our contracts as a country, maybe just the legal contracts we have or constitutional things. I mean, we're looking at July 4th. It's the 250th birthday of the United States. So all this is kind of being evaluated anyway. I just wonder if that moment might be written or communicated, and that Mercury retrograde being in that Antisha point might give us some sort of a clue. Maybe we'll get that when it stations retrograde at that, like on this day on Monday. Maybe we'll get some sort of clue that will make sense later, but it will be some sort of like a premonition.
Mm. Yeah. Uh, Something I haven't done, I don't think, is look at the Sabian symbol for the third degree of Gemini. And I want to look at that really quickly because I mean, I love the Sabian symbols, but they tend to hit so closely to what's going on. So it is holly and mistletoe reawaken old memories of Christmas, a longing for the pre-intellectual state of consciousness. Basically, I love this. Uh, the symbol of a fully decorated Christmas tree, but the vivid experience of childhood has become only an obsessive or nostalgic memory. It heralds a resurgence of deeper values and aspirations, which has been forced back into the collective unconscious. What is stressed here is the value of tradition based archetypes during the process of discovery, which is exactly something we were just talking about. A return to the source, the contact with archetypes may nevertheless lead to explosive situations. That's exactly what the Sabian symbol reads.
Wow. Explosive situations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is, I think any astrologer would look at the Mars Uranus conjunction and say explosive situations.
Yeah.
That Sabian symbol is the Sabian symbol for you read the fourth degree because
Hmm.
it's you read for the next degree. That Sabian symbol never changes for that.
Yeah.
And the fact that this Mars Uranus conjunction happens there, but you know, as far as like that whole nostalgia, that also speaks to what we were talking about, how things are unprecedented, so new for humanity right
Mm-hmm.
now. I feel that very deeply, the nostalgia for
Hmm.
before all of this, before this current administration, before um, AI,
Before COVID,
before
before,
COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
being social media, all the stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a nostalgia for it, but it was also not great then too. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing about nostalgia is like you choose to remember the things that you want to remember, the things that you wish you still had, and not like all of the things that were also incredibly harmful or useless or time wasting. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, if we take the things that we wish we still had and recreated them in modern form, then we would kind of have no need for nostalgia. We could appreciate the past and our experience and then bring the best of our past into our present so that the
Mm-hmm.
future is actually better than where we came from. But I think that we will be kind of negotiating that and evaluating that with that Mercury retrograde. And maybe that, being in Gemini, that Mercury or that Mars Uranus conjunction will just be that kind of breakdown of realization. The story of that first 10 degrees of Gemini is related to the story of the um, Garden of Eden in the Bible, where Eve, who has an environment that she has all of her needs met, her physical needs met, she has a devoted partner. She has animals all around. She has all the
Mhm.
food she ever wanted. She walks around without shame. She's nude. Like she has
Mhm.
like just bodily, she has everything at her disposal except one thing she can't eat from this one tree that would give her wisdom. It would give her the knowledge of wisdom. And that serpentine nature of discovering the mystery
Mhm.
convinces her to consume of knowledge because knowledge is more valuable than all of the bodily needs. And that knowledge exiles her and her partner to a world of the reality, which includes everything. And so it's like that exile is needed in order to actually experience life. So you experience life when you have the realization of the good and the bad. You have that dynamism between light and dark. And it breaks you out of the slumber of being in an Edenic place. It does not mean it's easy, but it's like what we need to kind of break out of our nostalgic, perfect ideas of life in order to actually grow as souls. So, that connection between those two can be this like enlightening moment as well, just personally, especially if you're in a Mercury year or if you're in a Gemini year or you have like early degree Gemini placements, this is going to really hit it. In an explosive situation. It doesn't have to literally be like a firework truck catches on fire on the interstate and like explodes all over the place. It can just be having epiphanies, having these big realizations that seem so obvious in retrospect, but you needed that breakthrough in order to go forward. Um, yeah, this will be
Yeah.
the first one that really launches off the month.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look here because excuse me, Mars conjunct Uranus. The moon will be moving into Pisces that day, and then the very next day is Mars trine Pluto, and then Sun square Saturn, Neptune retrograde. So we can go ahead and look at all of those in succession because
They'll all
the,
be happening on
the
that fourth anyway, too. Yeah.
yep, exactly. So I mean, it's almost worth saying that the Mars trine Pluto is active at the Mars conjunction to Uranus. I mean,
Yeah.
they're within what 7 hours of each other or something like that.
And even the Sun square Saturn, because they're 2 degrees, 1 degree away. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is part of this degree resonance that
Mm,
we're going to be dealing with all month is the outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, are in this configuration where anything touching points that at that 4 degree early degree resonance are going to hit,
hit
right?
all of them. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as far as Mars trine Pluto, I mean, it almost makes sense, like if there were someone if there were a god, if there is a god, who knows? I don't want to get into that, but if we're talking like someone planning this stuff,
Mm,
it makes sense that after the Mars Uranus conjunction, Mars would trine Pluto, because Mars
mm,
trine Pluto is power. It is I've got to take power either back, not that it's taken away, but if things feel out of control during the Mars conjunction to Uranus and then Mars trines Pluto, like okay, well I can do this,
hmm
or I will make it happen, or I will win the war, or I will survive. Mars trine Pluto is a pretty um, I guess close astrological archetype for survival.
hmm Yeah. I see it as like if something explodes or erupts or dislodges from status with the Uranus Mars, like something comes out. And then Pluto, that loves to unearth things anyway, is like, hey, look what you uncovered. Let's use that to as fuel to go forward. Because Mars is like, let's go forward. That's my favorite thing to do. I just helped dislodge this Uranian realization. And Pluto was like, I can plug you into the power grid to take that thing that you dislodged in order to push it forward. And I think of it in the information, communication, language realm because it's in the air signs. Um, but just to kind of double down what you were saying, anything that goes through a fire or air sign, as soon as it enters the fire or air signs, it's going to If it's fire, it's gonna, you know, trine Neptune, trine Saturn. It's soon going to trine Jupiter because Jupiter's moved into Leo. It's going to sextile the air. It's going to like sextile Aquarius. It might oppose, like let's say the moon. Like when the moon goes into the air or fires, it's going to like connect with Aquarius, Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, Aries, Uranus, Mars, Gemini, and then Jupiter and soon the sun in Leo. So in the active signs and the fiery air signs, when something gets plugged in, it's just going to be like more momentum, more momentum, more momentum, more momentum. It's different when those planets, when Uranus was in Taurus, when Neptune was in Pisces, or when Pluto was in Capricorn. It's like the earth signs and the water signs receive and they slow it down a little bit, but the air and fire speed it up, accelerate, like motivate it, cheer it on, push it forward. So like the pivoting and the changing is going to be amplified because they're all going to be pinging off of each other. And then any other planet that comes in, it's almost like you get caught in a conga line every time because the outers are just like in this hyper loop of a conga line. You just get pulled into the orbit of it. But especially when Jupiter goes into Leo, which it has as of this chart, and then the sun, when the sun goes into Leo in a couple of weeks, you're gonna be caught in that momentum of fire and air.
Hmm. Yeah. And, you know, as we are dealing with all of that, we're also going to have some of the closer planets in do things like, and even our star, the sun squares Saturn here, right? So you got Mars trine Pluto, and then the sun squares Saturn. Let's get that exact on July 6th at 5:47 a.m. So
The next day,
basically
yeah.
24 hours later, sun square Saturn is like for me, oh, I didn't realize it's opposite Black Moon Lilith. Huh. It it is a moment of you almost have to make a commitment. Like, if you dig into something, like let's just say we have to open a box. I was watching this show called Outlast the Jungle, and it's like a survival show or something ridiculous. And this team of two women were making it to the end, and they had a key and they were supposed to open a box. They were they found the box, they dug the box up, and it's the box to win the whole thing. They dropped the key in the sand. They couldn't find it. That is a sun square Saturn moment. And you know what they had to do? They had to stop, breathe, and find the key. And another team was pushing in to win this, and it's like $1 million prize, right? They buckled down, found the key in the sand, and won the game. And that is kind of a sun square Saturn moment. Like, here we are, we have all this stuff going on. If you drop the key, that's an obstacle. Are you going to be able to find it? Are you going to be
Yeah.
able to breathe through it and find that key to win the game? That is, it's an obstacle that you have to deal with.
I was looking to see, so the sun squared Saturn December 16th of last year.
Mm.
Um, so if you can go back, it was from Sagittarius to Pisces. Um, just looking at like what happened that day. That was marked by national observances like National Chocolate Covered Anything Day, which is very Sun and Sagittarius square Pisces Saturn. But you can look at just um, in your own calendars, like did anything significant happen that day or leading up to that day, like a few days before? Because you can get I think Rob Reiner was killed around that time. That's a Sun
Mm.
square Saturn. Um, but like you can get an idea of where that might hit, but it'll hit from your Aries Cancer houses as opposed to your Sag Pisces houses. So the shift will be a little bit different. Um, I think that I like officially closed up a work thing around that time because it was a holiday party and that was like the symbolic closure of, see you later. And second house of the sun being in my second house of Sagittarius, so
Mm.
that I can free myself. So that Saturn limitation was actually a really good thing for the sun. But you can look in your own calendar and just see what happened like a week before Christmas last year to get a vibe of what that might be for you. But if you're in a sun year or a Saturn year, this might hit a little louder. Um, if you're a cardinal rising, this might hit a little louder. This
Mm,
is, one that we experience yearly. And so it's not to be taken lightly. I think a lot of people find that that's like a challenge with authority figures or father figures or the sense of authority within your life, within the topics of the houses that they
mm,
come from. Um, the next time this will happen would be December 29th. I guess it happens, so that
yeah,
makes sense, twice a year.
yeah,
Um, so it'll be the sun in Capricorn square Saturn in Aries. And that one, the sun will be in the superior position. So
yeah.
it's like the sun will kind of have the upper hand. Saturn still has the upper hand while it's in Aries, squaring the sun in Cancer. So
So the next thing is Neptune retrograde, which I
I
don't,
kind of like, I like when
yeah,
Neptune is slowed
yeah,
down. Just tuck it away even further back in the back of the cabinet.
for real. Because, it's almost like we're something I was thinking of with Neptune and Aries because the orbit of Neptune's 166 years, I think. Um,
Sounds
the
about right.
last time it was in Aries was the Civil War. And it's ideological shifts, but there's also a part of me that says to myself, self, are we developing a new mythos? And
Mm,
so with Neptune retrograde, it's a little harder to access that, to I feel like Neptune retrograde, it's, you can touch things like spirituality or even deception a lot easier with Neptune direct. When it's retrograde, it's when it stations, it's pretty loud. So I will say that July 7th, Neptune will be pretty loud and the moon will be there. Um, but it's almost as if the development of, for instance, this new mythos around AI is are people summoning a demon with a Sumerian demon with AI. I don't know if you guys have heard that. That
yeah,
is
I've heard that.
insane, right? So it literally is a development of this new mythos right before our eyes. That could slow down a little bit, but around July 7th, that might be a big topic, just something like that. I don't mean that specifically, but once it does get going retrograde, that kind of slows down for me in my own observation, I think. So again, it's that day, that station. We're probably even talking the whole first week of July with Neptune because it is just sitting still. Um, mythos may come up. Ideology, which that has also been a thing. I mean, you think of the Heritage Foundation and the fact that they have this plan for how they want our government to go, right? That is ideological. That is Neptune and Aries for me.
I
So
also
that,
wonder if it will be related to that Uranus Mars. It's like the Uranus Mars will explode and kind of hit the rest of the chart.
mm,
And like the Mars Pluto might take that and run with it, but then maybe that kind of shows up in Neptune retrograde of, you know, how does that event or that epiphany change the way I view this larger sense of ideal for myself?
mm,
And like maybe it's like something that you like unpack for a while through that Neptune retrograde, maybe because it is connected by sextile to that moment and to Pluto. Maybe that Neptune will also be related to just that event to tie it into like something that Mars, I keep wanting to say Mercury, Mars Uranus explosion of connection, the meaning of it, like what is it? What is what are the philosophical implications of that thing might be felt through the Aries house. Like I'm seeing it just in Aries is my sixth house of work. And I'm really uncovering and clarifying like what I do for work, all the ways that I make money, including the people that I choose to be in business with. I'm having less and less patience of partnering with people that I'm not that I just fundamentally disagree with on big things. It's like my belief of like I don't wish you any harm, but I just don't want to participate in you being successful. And that goes into how you support companies that you don't fundamentally agree with. That might I just feel like it's that Neptune sense of things happen slower with Neptune, but it goes into like I want it to actually mean something righteous. And I'm seeing it just within my work topic. But you could see it just within your other Aries. Aries is your 10th house, Mandy, so like it could come through of like how you're seen in, what and how people like the philosophical implications of how people view you. Do you
Mm,
agree with all of those? Saturn there too kind of really makes us grow up a bit and take serious those areas of life. And I think Neptune will take that seriousness, but also fold in that spirituality.
yeah. I love the way you described all of that because I wholly agree with your assessment. So pay attention to where Aries is. Like you should pay attention to where everything is right now, except for maybe Scorpio Sag, because there's nothing going on there. Thank goodness.
Except today, the moon is in
Yeah,
Scorpio, so
except
I
for
love
today,
it.
except for when it is, except for when stuff is there. Uh,
I feel like Sagittarius is always like, the party is never at my house. Like, come on. It's only when the moon is there for 2.5 days a month.
yeah, especially lately. But if you
Yeah.
do have stuff in Sag, Scorpio, uh, I think you could feel a little bit like you've been let off the hook, just a little.
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah.
So the next thing we have is Venus entering Virgo, and
Mhm.
that is only a couple days after this. So July 9th, Venus South Node, which is something I didn't put on my calendar. You do have it on yours. It is the nodes, which is where eclipses happen, are they're about to change. They're at 0 degrees
Hmm.
of Virgo Pisces. And I actually, as I started studying astrology in 2012. I mean, that kind of was the catalyst for me,
Mm-hmm.
wondering what this Mayan thing was about. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. But since I've been aware of nodal shifts, and I think the first one I really truly became aware of was the Great American Eclipse in 2017. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not that I wasn't aware of what they were, I'd learned by that point, but it was something that I was observing. I love when the nodes are about to shift because there is this um, felt, maybe not felt, but definitely observed thing that happens. And there are two, just to be thorough. There are two different ways you can look at the nodes. It's a point in space. It's where the sun and moon, the light is occluded, so you don't see the light of either one depending on what you're talking about. But as far as this point in space goes, there are two different ways to calculate it. There's the mean node, which is because they float, because as all things in space go, it's the orbit, it's the way the
It's
Earth moves,
wobbly. Yeah.
wobbly. So then there's the true node. That's
That's the
actually,
official term. They're wobbly.
yes, that is exactly how all official astrologers describe it officially, wobbly.
Hmm.
But the true
Yes.
node is moving in July. And so it is very, very close to that. When another planet, hits that point, it almost emphasizes it. Would you agree with that? It just is like an
Yeah.
emphasis
Yeah.
on that spot. So the South Node in Virgo, I think when we did our eclipse workshop, we came up with, what do you not want to worry about anymore? Like what is it that we're sort of getting rid of with the South Node? It's the tail of the dragon. Venus, I love Venus because there's so many different love, money, relationships, uh, women is a Venus thing. Oh, so when it hits the South Node, you are aware of karmic patterns there that you might want to release or not get caught up in again. But this date is going to emphasize that specific topic and maybe sort of for the last time. Like there's not going to be a whole lot that hits there. There will be things that square it and things in the moon, but this is a big emphasis on the South Node and Virgo story.
Yeah, it's true. Because once it goes in, it's going to be another decade before it comes back in. The North Node comes into Virgo.
Virgo.
It'll be 18 years before the South Node is back into Virgo. So, yeah.
I
I didn't
guess,
start recording the last time because it said recording, so I wonder if it saves it in the
yeah,
Zoom.
it
If not,
will. It should.
okay. Anyway, the Zoom was like, oh, South Node, like, what am I ready to get let go of? This meeting. So
Oh, okay. So,
so yeah,
yeah,
South Node, Venus. I think we should just move on from that because she
we
was clearly
should.
like, she was like, enough said,
That was yeah, that
zero
was
F's given, including the meeting.
oh, so
Um,
we had
and then the
Venus.
Kazemi. That's the next one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So Venus entered Virgo on the ninth, and we talked about that as much as it would allow us to. Um, and I guess one of the things that we should say about Venus and Virgo is I love Venus and Virgo. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of a nice place, even though it's opposite, it's exaltation, right? It it is something where the beauty in the details, I
Mm-hmm.
do like that. So, and that's going to last for, when does Venus go into Libra, which we're all excited about? It goes into Libra August 6th, so about a month.
Yeah.
And that's just something I wanted to say, because overall what got the attention was Venus in the South Node, because that's a
Mm-hmm.
thing, but it'll be in Virgo for a month. So all Virgos rejoice, Venus is in your sign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, the
Happy
next
Venus
thing,
return. I know so many Venus and Virgo folks.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
So
just
happy
love that
Venus return.
energy. Hmm. And the next thing is the 12th, we have the Mercury Cazimi. And I'm going to let Krista take this one because Krista loves
I love
Cazimis.
Kazimis.
Hmm.
Well, in this one, so Mercury's retrograde, so it's the inferior conjunction. This is like the midway point between the retrogrades. So when it retrogrades on the 29th of June, we get to this point, and that to me, it's like that first part of the retrograde is always the one that is the most troublesome. And it's this moment, this crossroads moment, when they have that inferior connection where it feels like Mercury is kind of like, okay, I am fully humbled. I have messed all of this stuff up. Give me some guidance, son. How do I fix it? And this is the kind of the reset moment. Kazemi's, it translates to being in the heart of the sun or being in the throne room. And Mercury is there, pretty beat up, maybe a little um it's in
Sensitive.
sensitive and maybe a little martyry, being in Cancer and retrograde and having, been squared by Saturn, like Saturn's being all mean to me, son. Like, what do I do? Mercury is kind of like, okay, I'm ready to receive some guidance. And that's like a Kazemi moment of like what secret is revealed, what guidance or insight or inspiration can come from that. Um, it's a purification of burning away the past and bringing like what remains belongs at that Kazemi moment so that when it continues its retrograde and then stations, it is allowing all that stuff to just fall away and to be renewed and more lithe and agile and cleansed and inspired and all these things. It's like when you go through like a deep exfoliation of spirit, that's kind of this Mercury retrograde. So I love it. I love this day, this day, and then the new moon, which happens. So the moon is already in Cancer at this
Mm.
point. These couple of days, I think it's on the 14th, are our favorite because it's also leading us up to this outer planet basket configuration, but it's the Mercury cazimi, then the new moon, that I really, really absolutely love that anchors into the beauty um, of the month of July.
Mm. Yeah, it is so close together. It's almost, I love it when a new moon happens close to a cazimi
Hmm.
because it really does feel like an awareness that you might not have had, and then you have it, and then you can start
Hmm.
again or start anew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you have anything at around 19, 20, 21 cardinal, this is going to be for you basically. Um,
This feels like it's for you, Mandy.
it definitely does. I am a
Hmm.
22, 23-degree Cancer rising. So, um, it is, especially in Cancer. I mean, this is the solstice season, right? So it's a time in which you are thinking, let's just say, thinking ahead to Christmas. That's how I look. It's almost like that's why Christmas in July is a thing, you know? Um, you can think ahead at a new moon, and especially when the Kazimi's right there beside it. So, you're there, you're at July 14th. What do you want
That's
to
Bastille
happen?
Day.
It's Bastille Day, that's
Yeah.
right. What do you want to happen at Christmas? What is what do you want to receive? What do you want to grow? What do you want to give? That is a very Cancerian topic, nurturing, taking care of. Um, Not only others, but yourself. You can't be, Cancer is the sign of the mother. You can't be a good mother and you can't nurture other things if you don't take care of yourself. So that is going to be the topic for this time period. And yeah, I would agree. I think the only thing I guess is Venus is squaring Uranus around that time. And that's something that I didn't quite catch on to on my calendar. Um, yeah, that's going to be the 13th, Venus square Uranus. Do I have that? Oh, I do. Okay. So we'll just look at it so we can get the days because you have the Mercury
We were just
Cazimi.
ignoring it because the Kazemi and the new moon were so
That's
nice.
right. They are. I mean, that there's an awareness, but Venus square Uranus in the mix of it, it's pretty interesting because it is Virgo's so specific, right? Virgo wants to get the details right, and Uranus is throwing kind of a wrench into it. So um it's you sometimes you can't have it all um lined up. Sometimes you don't have all the details. Sometimes if you do, something happens and you get it messed up. You're trying to color inside the lines. Oops, I went out of the line. And then you have the new moon. So it's just like, yeah, there's a little bit of a surprising thing. I do like Venus square Uranus a lot more than any other planet square Uranus because sometimes it could be a gift because of the nature of Venus.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and to be there in the middle of the Cazimi and new moon, I think that it it's interesting. And I know that I kind of banned myself from using that word, but it is. It is a certain like intellectually stimulating transit. Um,
I also wonder because Mercury and Venus will be retrograde later
mm,
on in the year. Um, and so I just looked at, when Venus goes retrograde, she's, retrograding from Libra back into Scorpio. Sorry, Scorpio back into Libra.
mm-hmm,
And so when she goes direct, she's going to be at 22 degrees Libra at her home. So this is that's a square point from this moment. And if you think of Libra as the fourth sign from Cancer, so this is like the rooted place of Cancer. Like what does Cancer really deeply care about? It's like that new moon, Cazimi, even the Venus square Uranus here, it's going to bring up and maybe be the topic of investigation for that retrograde that's happening. That it goes direct on November 13th. It goes retrograde at 8 degrees Scorpio on October 3rd. So
mm,
that leads us into that 40 days of that underworld journey that Venus is going to take. Um, between Scorpio and Libra. But it's that when it stations direct, it'll be in a square to this moment. So it's kind of like it's related to this moment of like maybe the things that get disrupted here will also be kind of what you're focusing on during that retrograde that you can then move forward from. And it is based on the things that you actually deeply care about because it's that fourth sign from that Kazemi moment, you know? Does that make sense?
It does. And, especially because of the fact that Mercury rules both Virgo and Gemini here, I think it is a Venus Mercury story for sure because Venus
Yeah.
is in Mercury's sign right now and Mercury is going to be retrograde. Yeah, and it's definitely
And they're going to
something to
retrograde together. Yeah.
together. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a Venus Mercury story. Um which, it's so for Venus, it's so intellectual that it's gonna, I think, force you to look at your values and things of that sort. And
Mm.
what are you valuing that maybe is receiving too much energy?
Mm.
What it's definitely a I need to think about this and redo it, possibly before as almost like a preemptive before the retrogrades, in what was it, October.
Yeah,
um
October 3rd to November 13th.
mhm.
Mercury and Venus go direct on November 13th. So,
It's a good prep time for that. And I mean,
hmm
again, there's stuff this summer, especially this month, that kind of um previews or is connected to the fall winter. So it's a good time to start thinking about that. Who are your people? Who do you want to be around in the winter? That's something you could think about during this
hmm
this time. So we are here in this third week of this crazy month. And
hmm
then the exact Uranus trine to Pluto happens the 17th. And the the reason this matters so much is because of the orbits of these two planets. The exact trine is a big deal. Um, it's it's like, don't get us wrong, this is active the whole month. It's active right now. But the exact moment is something to pay attention to, especially if you're an astrology enthusiast or um, even just someone
just a
a
weirdo, you know?
weirdo, yeah, which is a very Iranian thing. It's a very it's study time for
hmm
astrology, for astrologers. This is study time. We have to pay attention to this and understand exactly what's going on at the time because we're still currently writing astrology. Astrology writes itself constantly,
Mm-hmm.
especially for um, people who have read about this stuff, but we didn't experience it because we weren't
hmm
alive. Well, now we are alive, to experience Uranus trine Pluto in air signs. So that is,
That's Uranus trine Uranus.
oh, that's why it wouldn't work.
As much as Uranus would try to trine itself, I don't think so.
Why did that sound dirty? I don't know why. So 4 degrees, 29 minutes of Gemini to 4 degrees, 29 minutes of Aquarius. I think it's worth saying that Pluto is retrograde at this time. So,
hmm
um, you know, I, this is for me, like in mundane astrology, it lends itself to the AI discussion. I think Uranus is innovation. That's another great word for Uranus. It
Mm.
innovates. In Gemini, that's communication. That's the way we think. Pluto, I like to say power. It's really easy to Pluto is power. Um, in Aquarius is, I think, bringing up issues of collective power. And so when you have this innovation and power, I mean, naturally, you also have revolution in the mix as well. Because how is this? Is it being used against us? Are we using it? It's a question mark to me. This trine, trines are by nature good. I mean, they're supportive.
They flow. They
They
flow the energy.
flow.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, can you move the chart Probably 2 days where the moon is 4 degrees Libra.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'll go back.
So I was looking at like roughly this chart. So the
Mm,
moon at 4 degrees Libra. Then we have Pluto at 4 degrees Aquarius, Neptune at 4 degrees Aries,
Jupiter.
Uranus at 4 degrees Gemini, and Jupiter at 4 degrees Leo. So we have Leo opposing Aquarius, right? Jupiter opposing Pluto. We have that trine between the moon, Pluto, and Uranus. We have the trine between Neptune and Jupiter. All of these, and then the sextiles between Neptune and Pluto, Neptune and Uranus, Uranus and Jupiter, Jupiter and the moon, right? So we have all of these. Like the moon is like this very fleeting piece, but just looking at how much connection that moon has. It's really when Jupiter goes into that fourth degree, later on, like a few days later, Jupiter will exactly opposite Pluto, oppose Pluto, and exactly trine Neptune. And then the next day, Jupiter will exactly sextile Uranus. But in this moment with the moon at that fourth degree, it really locks in like this picture. And this is what that the French astrologer from 100 years ago,
Mm.
like he was born 100 years ago. Actually, when was he born? When was Andrew Barbeau born? I feel like he feels ancient to me, but he's not that
Yeah.
ancient. He died in 2019.
Yeah.
Um,
Before he saw this come to.
he was looking at this moment, and he was born in 1921. So yeah, 100 years ago, basically. Um, he was looking at this moment for the outer planets in particular
Mhm.
because of what they represent, these early degrees, this fourth degree, of being in supportive aspect to each other all at the same time. And so if we think of flow like in a trine, but then sextiles are also like this opportunity for flow. That having the sextiles and trines between these outer planets creates this container that then Jupiter moves into and also is participating, and then the moon for a very brief amount of time. But I just like the moon there, just to like amplify it even more as as being kind of a moment of we have been through many, many years of crisis, lots of disruption, lots of breaking down of things, of orders that we have thought were stable, they are not stable, of systems that we trusted in that we realized we should not trust in. Like all this stuff is kind of falling apart. And so this is the moment where it's like, well, then now what do we build? And that's why I have hope for this month, is because of this configuration, these connections of these planets being these larger cycles that we collectively get to decide how we're going to go forward. And there's some righteousness in it. And it is up to us to kind of choose how we want to do it. But some of the notes that I had on here, so Neptune Pluto cycle is almost 500-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto Uranus is a 115 to 140-year cycle. The Uranus Neptune is a 170-year cycle. So if you think of these really, really big cycles, they're more than we can really fathom. Um, so Jupiter being kind of the one that we can relate to the most because it takes 12 years to go through all the signs. It's a reasonable amount of time that's long enough for us to take serious, like it has some gravitas to it, but also short enough where we can conceptualize it within our life. I feel like Jupiter is the key piece. That's the key that drops into the sand of like, if we can figure that piece out,
Mm.
that 4 degree for Leo in our chart will help unlock the other pieces of how systematically we can be a more supportive society as humankind. Like it feels that big. It's not just
Yeah.
your town, your city, your country, your state, your hemisphere. It is the whole world is going to be positioned to kind of really shift that. And so this is kind of the moment that I've been looking forward to because it's like here is some chance, some like real big
Mm-hmm.
chance of cycles that are way more powerful than we ever are. And individually, how do we do it? I just think that like focusing on that Leo piece is really what we can like reasonably negotiate with.
Yeah. I mean, it's it. I Yeah, it's almost it is unprecedented for humanity. This is a new era. That's what Andre Barbeau, I don't know if I say it right,
Yep.
talks about. I mean, it's the recovery from like the global tumult, like just the tumultuousness of this last, I mean, really, you could say the last 10 years or more, but for sure, the last 10 years has been tumultuous. And this is the moment where we have to recover, and it's like transforming this system, imagining a new future, um, inventing the technology to do it, like being able to cure cancer and then broadcasting it and making sure everyone knows this is what we're doing, and this is
Yeah.
how we're going to work together. So yeah, I mean, it is it, incredibly coherent. That's what it is. It's incredibly coherent. And it's beautiful. I love that it looks like an envelope. That's
hmm
like an open envelope. What are we pulling out of it?
Well, I mean, if you just looked at Pluto opposite
Jupiter.
Jupiter,
Yeah.
like that, like
Mhm.
just like when was the last time that happened? What signs? It was
Let's
probably
see.
when it was in Capricorn.
That sounds well, they came together in Capricorn, right? 2014, that was, yeah, Cancer
Jupiter and
Capricorn. That's
Cancer.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at the square. That was the nodes. Wow, that was crazy. So yeah, 2014. And around that,
With Mars Uranus opposition.
yeah, that's an insane chart. And I remember what was going on in my own life, like my husband had passed away the year before that. I was
hmm
recovering from all of it. And it felt like this chart looks, like
Mm.
I felt like I was strung up. So that is, yeah, that's the in different signs now. July 20th, 2026, Jupiter is opposing Pluto, but from Leo to Aquarius. So,
And there's not another cross,
mm-mm,
we have the moon is opposing Saturn, but it's like really there's like the opposition is there, but then both Pluto and Jupiter have the support
mm-hmm,
from the sextiles and the trines that they're each receiving. So again, it's like it's just a more supportive, doesn't mean it's not as big or impactful as like the last time it happened, but it's like that's the opposition, just that alone, having that opposition there.
yeah,
It's like that's a powerful aspect. And yet what they're connected to is actually really supportive with like equally supportive. Um, the other things that we've been talking about, with Aquarius and Uranus,
mm,
be in the Neptune and Jupiter. It's like the all of that happening at the same time. It's going to be hard to unravel which one that you're going to feel. It's going to be loud because they're all in fire and air. Like that's
mm-hmm,
just they're going to make themselves known, like you said.
mm-hmm,
Like it's going to be expressed. And I think that it's like if you can just um if you're concerned about it or interested in it, like looking at the Leo piece feels like the ones that you can kind of
mm,
harness the best is going to be that 4-degree Jupiter Leo. It's like
yeah,
just focus on that and see where that is hitting you because the other planets they move so slowly. You're already
mm-hmm,
feeling their aspect to your chart. It's the Jupiter one that you're going to be like, well, how do I navigate this new thing?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and it forces integration when you have oppositions. Like, I think we're going to be forced to integrate the like who has the power and how big can we grow.
Hmm.
It's that opposition is like a very visible thing, like you said.
hmm
And I do think, yeah, Jupiter and Leo, it's almost like individual power versus the power of something else, whether it be the
hmm
collective or government or whatever,
Yeah.
and how we integrate that. I mean, yeah, and I think as far as the other planets go in the mix, we have that's the help. Uranus,
Mm-hmm.
Neptune is the help for this, but and even the moon the day before, but
This is when
um
the fixed signs really enter the chat when
oh
this
yes,
happens.
absolutely. So yeah, I'm really actually just pulled up my calendar. I was like, what am I doing around that
And this is
day?
and this is something that other astrologers are spending a lot of time like really diving into. So just look at, the other work out there on Barbo's basket. S.J. Anderson has done a lot. He's the first
Mm,
one that I ever heard about it from.
yeah.
Dan Waits talks about it. I mean, it's like you hear plenty of people talking about it because it is like it's a big deal. Like I'm looking forward to the babies that are born under the sky
Mhm.
to be like, what kind of change, what kind of impact are you going to carry just throughout your life to have this baked as your soul or as your
Yeah.
as your birth chart?
Yeah. It's gonna produce some very enigmatic figures, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And also with so little uh earth in the mix. So like,
Mm.
we talked about being a little untethered. Um, you know, there it has potential to outrun infrastructure. I think like
Mm.
whatever
Mm-hmm.
structures we have to support ourselves may not be enough for this time period, so um even if you talk about, for instance, the earthquakes that we experience, like
Yeah.
it are we you can't be prepared for that. Can you build something that will last um big changes like this, and
Mm.
I think this is showing maybe the weak spots in infrastructure, and I don't mean that just in the mundane way, just the infrastructure of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
um what dreams are you going to have, and what do you have to support it? So that may be for later, but it whatever infrastructure weak points we have, that will also be very made very known around
Mm-hmm.
this time, because it is fire and air.
Yeah, these are these moments that you need to hire an astrologer to look at your chart.
Yeah,
Like that's,
exactly.
solar return, big moments in life, and then big astrology like this. Hire a professional to look at your
Hmm.
nativity for
Hmm.
this.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go back to, where is my share button? I, like, my brain just quit working for a minute. So yeah, then of course we've got on the 22nd, the sun enters the chat. It enters
Hmm.
Leo, because it will actually start to do all the stuff that Jupiter is doing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then Mercury goes direct on the 23rd. So we can take a look at both of those. Um, all right.
I
So
think the sun going into Leo will feel refreshing
yeah, well, it
because we'll
better.
also have that Mercury going direct too, just like an end to the emotional siege.
It's true. It's true. So there we are. Sun in Leo, July 22nd. That is my dad's birthday. Um, I mean, 4 degrees away, but it almost immediately opposes Pluto. Like
Yeah,
that's going to be felt. And the Mercury direct happening.
next
Let's
day.
see, the next day. So it's 2:13 p.m. is when Sun moves into Leo on July 22nd, and then 5:57 p.m. So 24 hours later, Mercury goes direct. That's going to be nice. I
Hmm.
think this time period. I mean, Moon and Scorpio. Maybe we want to go a little past that. Uh,
Moon and
yeah.
Sag. There you go.
July 23rd. This period of time will be, I think, like you said, refreshing is a good word. But it's funny that the moon is in a water sign trining Mercury as it stations direct. So
Hmm.
uh Sun in Leo, I think a lot of people know what that feels like because it happens every year. Mercury direct in Cancer, though, is probably going to take center stage here. It's at
Hmm.
16 degrees. I'm looking at again, the resonance of Venus, Mercury, Mars, even Saturn, all in those middle degrees.
Hmm.
Um, it's almost like, like if you're running a race and you get to the middle point of it, that's kind of what it feels like at this
Mm.
point in
The
time. I don't,
threshold. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, there's something there. Um, Anything else about Mercury direct?
I
I
mean, I
think.
love this decan of Cancer is one of my favorites. It's Mercury ruled. The tarot card has is the Three of Cups. It shows like three ladies kind of dancing in a circle with like abundance at their feet. It's called Abundance in the Golden Dawn. So like I like that there's like the maybe the directness, the forwardness, the
Mhm.
reward for going through that very emotionally tumultuous retrograde with like this moment will feel kind of like look at all of the fruits of my labor from
Mhm.
this. Um, yeah, yeah.
What do we have next? Let's see. Go back to the calendar. I'm just gonna speak in a French accent now that we've been talking about
Sure, yeah,
Andre.
sun's in Leo, so trying to
Yeah.
be
I mean, look, ha ha
theatrical.
ha. uh, so yeah, then we have Saturn retrograde. Um,
That's no
that
biggie, honestly.
and the moon will be in Capricorn. Oh my goodness. So, and then we have Sun opposite Pluto, and we're coming to the end. So we'll just go ahead and look at that week because we're going to look at the whole thing. Um,
It'll be retrograde until December 10th, so just keep that in
mm,
mind. Yeah, the station points are always like kind of like the tapping on the shoulder if that's a sensitive point for you, but just keep in mind Saturn's going to be retrograde. It's usually retrograde about 5 months out of the year, so um, don't panic because you'll see that thing on social media. It's like five planets in the sky are retrograde right now. It's like that's a very common thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But if
and
you have a 14-degree, Aries moment, like Saturn really like screeching the nails on the chalkboard, slowing down on that degree, it'll probably be a bigger deal for you. But collectively, this is just par for the course in astrology.
hmm yeah, and I love the way Rick Levine says planets are louder when they're stationing. So I don't know if I totally agree that they're louder when they're retrograde. I think they're more off the wall
Mm-hmm.
and out of their typical way of being. But Saturn in Aries, I do feel like time may slow down a little bit. I feel like time dilation is real, and especially with Saturn retrograde, and Jupiter, the timekeepers, but definitely Saturn. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, this is a time to evaluate again the infrastructure. It just keeps coming up. And then you have Sun opposing Pluto right there at it. So let's go to that. So, I mean, this week is Venus is square Mars at this time as well. The Sun opposite Pluto is just going to um, back up the Jupiter Pluto opposition. It's just
Yeah.
going to reiterate it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, individual creative versus collective power, that's just the vibe here. And then we'll look at Venus square Mars as well. Because then all this stuff happens like together because then you have
Mm-hmm.
the sun Jupiter Cazimi. Um, so it looks like Venus squares Mars first. That's the first thing that happens. Um, that's also really common because of their
That's just a
orbit.
big day. Yeah.
It's a
Because
huge day.
then the full moon and then the Cazimi, it's all together.
Mhm.
Same day.
I mean, yeah. Um, so I'm thinking, I'm trying to grasp. Venus square Mars, I don't feel like takes center stage here.
No, it seems like that's like their conversation might be a little catty and heated and contentious. It's in the intellectual realm, it's in the mercurial realm, so maybe it's communication with a partner. Mars and Venus have that
Mm,
the dynamics within partnerships, but through the avenues of communication because it's Mercury ruled. Mercury's direct at least, which is great.
mm,
Mercury is sextiling Venus. I feel like Venus has kind of a little bit of help there, but Venus is not supported by being in Virgo. She's a little burnt up by being in Virgo. Mars has the upper hand, but Mars
Hmm.
can't see its ruler Mercury. So it's like it's a kind of, to me, it's like a little bit of a cat fight. And then like the big kids on the playground with Jupiter and the sun coming together and the moon and Pluto coming together opposite, like that's like it's like, yelling that your house is dirty while the woods around you are burning down. It's like
Yeah.
you might have legitimate beef with, the people that you live with, that your house is dirty, but there are way bigger problems going on.
Hmm.
And that's like that full moon is just elaborating the drama of the Cazimi, which I like the Kazemi moment itself.
It's
Of course,
wonderful.
I love, love, love that. But challenged by Pluto, it's like what will
Yeah.
be unearthed and discovered and excavated from this moment?
Hmm.
Like that's pretty loud.
It is.
But that full moon is kind of like, all right, here we are. I'm gonna share all of the tea that I've collected for the past month, and it has to do with these bigger things because the moon will have met all of the planets in that basket configuration will have met Neptune and Saturn and Chiron and Uranus and Mars and Mercury and Jupiter and the Sun and the nodes and Venus, and then finally tells it to Pluto, and then just, you know, illuminates all of that over the past month. So this moment is pretty, pretty big.
Yeah. It is worth noting that the sun rules Leo, and to have the boost from Jupiter is that by itself, yes, is wonderful. The challenge from Pluto with the moon there,
It's ruled
no.
by, Saturn, which is retrograde and fallen
Hmm.
in Aries. Like it's not in a great position, which might make it more resourceful, might make it more mischievous,
Yeah.
might be a little bit more deceptive or manipulative. It
Hmm.
might be more gaslighting. I love the Sun and Jupiter here have like much more power, but I feel like they're not playing with like cooperative players with the moon and Pluto over there in Aquarius. Like I don't
Hmm.
trust the moon and Pluto over there.
I don't either, and I'm trying to discern. Actually, that's the word, discernment. Um, I think that's going to be that word's going to be very important around this time is discernment, because you do have a little bit of an inflated sort of sense of self with the sun Jupiter,
Hmm.
but you're forced to look at what's going on outside of yourself, and maybe like there's so much happening that it's not a time when you can just like sit back and relax. This is not a
Yeah.
time when you're going to have discernment of some sort. Otherwise, it's like the moon Pluto will get you. That's what it feels like. And I think discernment is a good word as well because of the Mars and Venus and mutable signs squaring each other. Like you said, you could be distracted and not paying attention to the thing that you need to be paying attention to. So,
Yeah, that's a good warning.
yeah, it's a very much a uh, be keep your eye on the ball moment, I think.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, keep an eye on like the bigger problems, the
yes.
bigger the bigger issues. I heard someone say, I keep my house small because I want to have small problems. I don't want to have a big house and have big problems. This is like a big problem, big house sort of thing.
Hmm.
But it's like, but I think of it just even in the, if we think of the sun as our soul's expression and Jupiter there, yes, the inflated grandioseness of Jupiter and the sun together. But it's like, what is our authentic shine? How do we want to express it out? Like, this is like soul work sort of a situation. And how do you stand up to the challenges of your underworld from that Pluto opposition?
Hmm.
Like, what remains belongs, so things will burn up and fall away. But
Hmm.
it's about like authentically expressing your soul.
Hmm.
And that is a bigger deal than, a newsletter that you unsubscribe to that sent you another newsletter, or that's a bigger deal than someone cutting you off in traffic, or it's a bigger deal from not having a good work relationship. with your coworker. It's just like there are bigger problems to have. This is kind of like the big things that we wrestle with, and it kind of reaches that higher echelon of spiritual consciousness are these moments like this. Like if you can have the time to like consider the bigger questions on this day and don't get mired in the catty, petty, smaller issue, lower level, lower vibration, lower
Hmm.
energetic level stuff that we will always get back to and have to deal with. It's like carve this moment out to like handle the big stuff on that Wednesday, the 29th.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, I mean, we could say it over and over. Look at where it's at in your chart. Look at where it's at in your chart. Um, but this also is activating the basket sort of
Yeah.
thing,
Hmm.
So um it's sextile Neptune, and I'm looking at the full moon now. Um Sextile Neptune, trine Uranus, so there is a gift if you can, yeah, like we said, keep your eye on the big picture. Hmm.
Yeah, all the stuff that like that basket kind of shows us. Like this is what we have the capacity to carry within our chart, within our world. And then that the action of Leo, the
Hmm.
expression and the stewardship of Leo, like the sun is going to move and take all that energy from the basket configuration from Jupiter and move it forward. It has already purified um, Mercury. It's purified Jupiter, so they are freshly bathed in solar glory, and the sun is moving forward, kind of taking. It's like the action that we take comes from that Leo house, from all of the other pieces that have been falling into place from Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini, from those outer planet movements. Like the action, the way forward is through the Leo place. So what house is Leo for you? That's where you will be able to take your action and put your action into your society. So if it's your first house, it's it's like how you express your own um,
Mm.
self and the action that you personally can take. If you're Taurus rising, that's your fourth house. So it's like, how do you keep your home and how do you nurture your lineage and how do you create legacy with the wisdom that you share that you pull up from your ancestors and carry forward in life. It's like just
Mm.
look at the Leo place for you, like for Cancer risings, it's like this is your second house. It's like, how do you spend your money? How do you, support the things that you want to support? How do you develop your own skills? What skills do you need to develop that supports you as the ascendant? How do you put your spirituality in that avenue and that topic within your life? So I
Hmm.
just feel like Leo really is like the key in the sand that we got to find. Like that's the direction that you go, is through that Leo point. And I think that the Kazemi will give us the insight personally of how to do that.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree. And then here we are, well into or on our way to August. August.
Yeah, which has all sorts of other things.
It does. It does. And I think as far as that goes, we can maybe appreciate Mars and Gemini a little more because it will be moving into Cancer,
Hmm.
which is always a sad kind of place for Mars. But
Yeah.
it's like what is it? You're listening to Sisyphus FM, the home of nonstop rock.
That's Mars and Cancer for sure. Well, and also in August we have the next set of eclipses, which is going to be in that Leo Aquarius angle. So this Cazimi opposition to Pluto and all that is going to be highlighting those houses in your chart because the eclipses are going to be there. We had an eclipse in Aquarius back in February, a new
Hmm.
moon eclipse. This is going to be a new moon in Leo. Um, and
Yep.
so like this in itself is going to be kind of it will feed into the fate that is writing itself during July.
Hmm.
We'll really see that for that August eclipse. And then one at the end of the month is going to be another Pisces Virgo one as it's just out of sign, but it's still classified as an eclipse. And that one in itself is also pretty wild. because we have the sun um, squaring Uranus, Mercury squaring Uranus. So that's
Yeah.
a big one.
Yeah. So it's like tune into that as well because
hmm
there will be more. And
Yep.
it is Sisyphus FM. Maybe it more be like more of an AM station. But yeah.
Yeah, shortwave.
Yeah,
Let's do
short
some
one.
shortwave. Oh, all right. So now that
Um,
we're on this side of it, I guess I'll share my calendar again
yeah.
if I can pull it up. Hold on, let me do this. No, I'm not going to share that. Let me do that. I'm going to look and this is what I want. All right. Stop. I don't know why it's doing this. I got to share and stop share
Oh yeah.
because I didn't have it pulled up before I hit the share button. All right. And it's too big.
I
That's what July is. It's just too big,
love it.
too much.
It is. It's a
Um,
lot.
so out of all of these, what week are you looking forward to, and what week are you not looking forward to?
So I think I'm looking forward to the third week, 12th, 13th, 14th.
hmm
Um,
Same.
yeah, that's gonna be my pick for the better of the transits, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to the full moon in Aquarius. Probably the bookends, the 4th and the 29th
hmm
is my least favorite. So at least we get a little break in the middle.
Yeah. I love that Kazemi new moon Cancer stretch. I think that's just a really
Yeah.
nice one. But then I have hope for the next week of like finding all these things fitting into place and just seeing how they express themselves because they're outer planets. They're not necessarily super loud on the mundane level, so it might take a long time for us to kind of realize what that basket will do. And I wonder if the you know Jupiter's ingress into Leo will give us that first little hint of what the possibility of it could be.
Yep.
So,
I
yeah.
would agree with that. Hmm.
All right.
We made it.
We did. We made it.
Now hopefully we'll be saying that when we record August. We made it. We did
Yeah. Speaking of, if you want to be an audience member for August, just message us,
it. Hmm.
email practicalastros@gmail, or on any of our socials because we're kind of gathering an audience for that for Leo season. We did that last year and it was fun.
Hmm. It
So,
really was.
um, yeah, you can find my work at practicalastros.com. Mandi, tell people where to find you.
ecstaticastrology.com or at ecstatic astrology on all the platforms. And hopefully I'll be sharing more as we move along into the rest of the year on my stuff. But please like, share, and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And we'll see you in August. Thanks, everybody.